All right, guys, you got me and Jordan today. We're going to do a special little episode. So you're going to hear this either on the Sasha Davis podcast or the Jordan Wavra podcast. But basically, what we want to do is share with you guys how we started doing these retreats, how this became a thing. We have just started slash finished, I guess. I don't know if it's finished or if it just started. Either way, planning the next one, which we are announcing, or which will be for sale this Friday, Black Friday. We're going to do a little special. So we thought, what better way than to just talk about the whole retreat experience, how we came to plan this, the planning that goes into it, my experience, her experience, what the women experienced when they were there, and what you can hope to gain from the next one. So today is going to be kind of a recap of how we came to the first retreat together, what it was like at that retreat. And then we're even going to do a part 2, because I don't know if we'll be able to get to everything today. And then we can kind of share with you what we have planned for this next one coming up in April, which is also going to be in the Black Hills. So I know Jordan and I actually tried recording this last night, but we were having some technical difficulties. So hopefully my system keeps up with me today, because it's already being like crappy on me. But I suppose that's the beauty of technology, right?
Yep. Doing what we can.
Yep, doing what we can with what we have, and that's all you can hope for. So what we were saying was I think we came to the conclusion it was last summer that we started to plan this. Is that right?
Yeah, it was last spring. It was right before all this COVID stuff started happening.
Yeah, I know, because I think the plan was to have one May or June this year. Now I don't even remember, but I wanted to have one earlier this year, but then all the restrictions, everything was closing down. And so we just kind of put a kibosh on it. And you were pregnant. You just had a baby this year too. So how old is he now? 6 months?
He's almost 7 months now. I can't believe how fast time is going.
I know, it's insane, but it's like looking back, I was just saying this to my husband. I'm like, oh my God, we almost have a 4-year-old now. Like, that's just crazy to me, but what do you do? Anyways, I know that you had a baby, and like, I didn't want to like bother you. I felt like I still really wanted to do this retreat, even though everything was happening in the world. And I can't remember. You said you reached out to me and you're like, hey, do you still want to do this thing?
Yeah, I was just thinking about it, and I was like, we had talked about doing this retreat. I wonder if she still wants to do it, because I just wanted to do something. I mean, we started planning it in the spring last year, but we've been talking about doing it for probably at least a year before we actually did it.
Yeah, because go ahead.
I was just going to say, I just really want to do this. So I just reached out to you and was like, hey, are we still doing this or not?
Oh man, I just remember like going on my first retreat. I just could not wait to do these here. The one that I went to was way up in Canada, north of Toronto. So there was quite a bit of travel, and I had like a 6-month-old baby at the time, or maybe she was 8 months. And I just really wanted to create that for people back here. And, I had hosted my own, but it's a lot. Like, I know the one thing that we were talking about was how much planning goes into something like this. And I think, people in general don't have a solid understanding of the ins and the outs that a retreat, that happens to make a retreat take place, So when I was hosting them by myself, I was like, holy smokes, like this is a lot. I mean, basically you're on for like 4 days. Like, imagine working 4 days in a row, no breaks, and having to kind of pivot and things like that. And so I thought it was really cool when we kind of came to the conclusion that we were going to try some together, because I felt like it was like an immediate relief, off of me, that holy smokes, I don't have to do all of this by myself, which was incredible.
Right. And then we were able to like merge the things that both of us are so passionate about, and then deliver even more value to the women there. So it was incredible coming together for sure.
I know when we first started talking about it, because one of the things that I did struggle with was like the meal planning and the food and the prep like that. And so you really took that over on how to nourish people, and that really felt good with what I had to offer too, because, we've talked about this before, and I know we both are pretty passionate about the things that we consume, whether that's the people that are around us, the foods we put into our body, the products that we use on our skin, the books we read, basically everything that you consume in a day can affect your energy body, and it can affect the things that you attract into your life, your manifestation and your physical health, your emotional health, your spiritual health. And so really putting people in a place where they can experience what that transformational healing really is. And that was super important to me. And I know that you were in alignment with that too. And so when we started planning this, we wanted to have a place that felt spiritual, even though we had like frat people right next to us, which
oh my God,
for the next time. Yeah, it's just, we could talk about that here in a second, because we both thought that it was more secluded than it was going to be, and it was still a really great secluded experience, but it was just so funny, like things that happen that you don't think about, that you have to pivot on the fly.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was still a beautiful area, but when we were doing yoga on the balcony and then looked over, and they're like these frat guys having a party next door with, yeah, it was just two incredibly different experiences. It was interesting.
It was a great metaphor for life, though, because I think sometimes you can be in like your own spiritual transformation or your own healing journey or your own manifestation journey, and the person next to you can be like completely chaotic. And so it's learning to manage your own energy versus like what chaos is going around in the world. So I feel like it was a really great metaphor for just like life in general, right? Because we can't control what other people are doing. We can only control what's happening in our own immediate environment.
Absolutely.
So not that like I planned on that to happening, but you always kind of you always kind of take what the lesson was in there. And I think we've also learned from that in terms of like planning this next one, making it even more secluded, more private, more, more transformation that's going to happen for these people. But one thing that we were chatting about yesterday that I think is really cool is when we were talking about the location. We had all of these really great locations, and you were talking about a reading that you had, and I, for whatever reason, felt really called to be in the Black Hills. So can you tell me kind of a little bit about or tell the guys about your what is it, your reading or whatever, and how we kind of came to the
So, well, because I had this reading back in, so that summer. So we started talking about it in the spring, COVID happened. And then that summer, so it must've been like June or something, I had a reading, and she was talking about like the Black Hills, how I'd be like making this trip to the Black Hills. There'd be like a lot of spiritual stuff involved, or spiritual work involved. It'd just be like a really healing experience for me. And then we I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then we started talking about planning the retreat in like July. So like a month later, probably. And you said you wanted to go to the Black Hills, and I had just had like this light bulb, I was like, oh my God, I just had this reading, and she told me I was going to be in the Black Hills, and it's going to be this spiritual like journey. And I think we just took it as a sign, like, okay, then this is it. The Black Hills is it.
Oh man. And it was just so good after that, like after the first call that we had, we were like, are we really doing this? Are we really doing this? And then we like started planning, and oh my God, I can't believe how much shit we got done in like the matter of 2 days. Like when we finally decided to like go at it again. Cause I mean, with COVID and all that shit, like we put it on hold. We were hoping it was gonna, even like my big conference that I was gonna have this year, like we just kiboshed it, because it was like, oh, you can't have people over 10 in groups. And not that I'm trying to like, okay, I am kind of mocking, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, come on, are you serious? So pivoting, and finally I was just like, I think both of us were like, screw it, we'll just make it work. And so we just decided to make it a little bit smaller. There were 6 spaces available, which I think was perfect for our first like co-host retreat. I think we learned a lot. We figured out what the capacity was. We found a really cool space to have it at. And we found an even cooler space to have it at this next time. Like, I don't know. I remember putting everything together, that planning session. when we were talking about like food and location and gifts, like I was on cloud nine, man.
It was so much fun. And it was so amazing how everything just fell into place. So like, you know, we talk about inspired action a lot, and you could tell like that's where we were. We were in alignment because everything just flowed. It was easy, it was exciting, and it was fun. And yeah, I think within a matter of 1 week, we went from talking about it to advertising it.
Yeah, we had everything booked and done in like a few days, I want to say. Like we just like really, but it was funny because there was so much fear for me that like came up when we were first, you know, after we had the first initial conversation. Between that and pulling the trigger, it was you know, kind of we touched on this a little bit yesterday, but I don't know how I've been like burned in the past. You've been burned in the past. And it's like, is this really happening? Is this going to happen? Is it really going to be like a 50-50? What happens if it don't works out? What if nobody signs up? What if we charge too little? What if we charge too much? I mean, there was so much shit that came up before. Oh my God, ridiculous.
Yeah, I felt that too, for sure. And, you know, and for me, I mean, I had the same stories, but it was like, she's done this before. Like, what if they just want to go and see her? Like, what if I'm just like in the background? Like, all of the, you know, all of the fears start coming up. I think not only when you go and like host a retreat like this for like that women pay to come to, but when you're doing it with somebody else, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know it was so funny, even when, I don't know, I just got to a point, I think we both got to a point where we're like, screw it. What's the worst that could happen? Let's go for it. Let's just trust our guts and follow that, you know, the breadcrumbs. And we did, and we talked about it. And I mean, man, we probably had 20, 30, 40, 50 conversations. We were sold out. I think we found out that we were sold out in less than a week. And we actually had to open one more spot for somebody, because more people wanted to come.
Right? Not a bad problem to have. It was definitely, I think me and you were both just like, holy shit. Like we were talking over Voxer, and it was just like, and another one, and this gal wants in. And we were just like, oh my God.
I know. And I had so many people that messaged me that, one, we were either already full, or two, the weekend that we had planned didn't work for them because they already had like something, and they're like, oh my God, you have to put me on the list for the next one. And I've only like did a few sneak peeks here and there over the last couple of weeks about the one that we're going to be hosting. And I've seriously already had over, I mean, I've had half a dozen or more people already message me, you know, saying like, save me a spot, save me a spot, save me a spot. And I'm like, hey guys, it's first come, first serve. Like you gotta be ready to pull your trigger finger. You gotta be ready to put your money where your mouth is, you know? And I'm excited though, because the people who are anxiously awaiting this next retreat are exactly the people that I want to be there. And I think you're the same. Like, we don't want people who are like, you know, iffy or wishy-washy, because it's something that you have to be all in. So let's talk about the actual retreat and like being there, because I think one of the things that scared most of the people, and we both agreed on this, was there was going to be no phones. There was going to be no devices for the entire 4 days.
Yeah. I think everyone did pretty well though, considering, but
absolutely.
It's amazing the connections that are made when we don't have our phones.
Seriously.
And it's funny because like that first day, you could tell there was like a little bit of awkward silence here and there.
Or
you know, everybody
laughter.
was just kind of, or awkward laughter trying to fill the silence. Yeah, everybody was just kind of sitting around in the living area, and you know, someone would chime in here and there, but we're so used to having a device to look at during these times of awkwardness, right? Or these times of discomfort. And you have to really push through that when we take those phones away. You have to kind of sit with that. And but the connections that are built from that are so much deeper.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's so funny because a lot of the people had to work through that stuff before they even came there. I've had people message me saying, are you really going to take our phones there? I'm like, yes, we are really going to take your phones. So after you get there, you have a couple hours to talk to people, get everything lined up, and then we're going to take your phones. You're going to have no phone Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and you'll get it back Sunday morning. You know, make sure that you have, and this is another reason to like take control of your life though. Like set everything up, set your family up for success. Like people are capable of doing more than you give them credit for. And I think it just empowers us knowing that like our families will still survive without us having to do all the things.
Yes. And even like those who had to leave work behind, because there were a couple who are always on their phone for work.
Yep.
And they had to trust that everything would be okay without them for a couple days. And that was really uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. One girl had her whole website had to be redone.
Oh my gosh, that's right. I completely forgot about that.
She's like, I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm just trusting. Because remember, they were switching her website from one domain to the other and they lost everything.
They didn't save everything. That's right.
Oh,
yeah, but she handled that so well. She was like, whatever, I'm gonna let it go. Whatever happens, happens. I think it all worked out though. I think they recovered most of it, didn't they?
Oh yeah, they did. But that's the part, it's like, unexpected things happen and you just have to like, really, how can you control that? You can't, you know what I mean? And so it's like, instead of freaking out about it, like just be where you're at, let it go. Like, don't let it consume your life. And again, with the metaphors for life, I feel like that was it. It was just being in your own space and being with your own thoughts and feelings. And like, when you're at a retreat like that and there's no devices, like you have nowhere to run and hide from yourself. You have to be with your shit,
Yep. Absolutely.
So let's talk about that day one. I know, well, we can talk about what were the other things that we were going to talk about. Favorite part, biggest challenge in terms of like planning. So what was your favorite part and biggest challenge before we even got to the retreat?
Okay. So I think, I can't remember what we talked about. So my favorite part was just the planning in general, right? Mm-hmm. So when we were talking about like goodie bags and I got to put together, herbal teas and like oils and sprays and stuff for the women there, and just planning the location and what we were going to do in the activities, like the hype around it, that was so much fun, and the excitement that brings. But I think the part that was stressful was the food. So not the planning the food. Planning the meals was fun for me, but it's like, do I have enough food? Are people going to like this? Like all of the stories that were coming up around the food, because we did a very holistic plant-based menu. And then what did you brought up the travel too. And
that was my biggest challenge. I'm like, how are we going to get you here?
That was also a disaster because we forgot to take into account the time change, because I was coming from Arizona time to Central time, and then we were driving to Mountain time. So we were like, I was going from like through 3 time zones, and we were trying to coordinate time zones with flights, and we're gonna have to plan ahead this time. I know.
I think that's definitely one thing that I think was the biggest challenge, or the biggest lesson learned, is the transportation time, the giving ourselves space. I'm kind of always, I think this is just me in general. I'm kind of like a fly by the seat of my pants person. And I kept telling myself like, oh, we have time to get her a ticket. And I know we talked about it, and then we're like, oh, we have time. Oh, we have time. Ah, shit, we're out of time. Same with like the t-shirts too.
Buy this today. Oh yeah, the t-shirts. Forgot about that. We waited till like the last minute, and they were supposed to be delivered on the day that they were shipped.
Yep. I remember.
Which was like the day before the retreat.
Exactly. And then they blamed it on COVID, which maybe that was a valid response, maybe not. But I was like, damn it, COVID, like, come on. But whatever. I ended up getting their t-shirts out. But it was a lesson learned. It's like, okay, how can we be even more prepared for this next time? And so we're doing like a 6-month planning period instead of a 2-month planning period, which I think will be super helpful in terms of just having everything ready. And not that we didn't have everything ready. I mean, I feel like the retreat went better than we ever could have anticipated, and like after picking you up, so like my favorite part was having the conversations with people, like talking about it, like you said, like the planning and the hype, because I know how amazing these things are. And so it is hard for me to shut that off. I just want to like share it with everybody, which is probably why so many people were interested. Cause I'm like, I need a retreat with 100 people there. I'm going to change 100 lives. We're going to do it.
We need like 50 acres and all the people we can fit.
Everybody gets a tiny home. I can't remember who I told the other day, but I was like, I'm just going to build a town and we're just going to do things our way. How's that sound?
I want to be a part of it.
For real though. Don't worry. When I win the lottery, I'm building a town and you're invited. Everybody who listens to this is invited.
I'm in. You always know I'm along for the ride.
I know. That's what everybody says. They're like, I don't care what you're up to, Sasha. I'm down for it. You're always up to something cool. I'm like, all right, well, we'll just make space for more people. But yeah, so I remember I picked you up in Sioux Falls. We drove across the state of South Dakota, which was like the fastest 6 hours of my life.
It's like the most boring drive in the world, but it was the most entertaining drive at the same time.
Yeah, I think Will was like, what did you guys talk about for 6 hours? I'm like, I don't even know. Like, I don't even know. We just never stopped.
I don't know, but we literally talked the entire time. And then how many times were we like, we should be recording this. This should be a podcast episode. And then we never hit record and we just
I know, which is why I want to do it now. We need to do it more often because I feel like we have some pretty passionate conversations when it comes to living life by design.
I would agree.
Yeah. Okay. So then we get there. We get into Rapid City. We get all of our groceries, which took way longer than anticipated. I don't think we ended up even getting to the cabin until almost like 11 o'clock at night, or maybe it was midnight.
I think it was like 11.
Well, and we ended up staying up to like 2 anyways, which is ridiculous, but whatever.
The night before the retreat, and we're like pulling up lighters.
Oh man. It was nice though to just like sit, and I mean, I don't enjoy staying up late, but I think we stayed up late every single night that we were there. There was just so much to talk about and go over.
I never stay up later than I never stay up later than like 10, and we just like couldn't go to bed. I think like that first night we were just taking it all in too. It was like the only night that we would have like that space to kind of without everybody there. And I think we just like kind of sat there and just took everything in, you know, before we knew it was 2 a.m.
Yeah. Well, and you know, we had to make sure that everything was like the space was, you know, good and things like that too, because you know, sometimes things can be very different online than in real life. And so we just had to, you know, make sure that it was what it said it was.
It was better than what it said it was, in my opinion.
It was way better.
Amazing.
Like, it was way better than what I had expected. So that's always good. So yeah, let's talk about that first day. What happened on that first day?
Well, we were just waiting for everybody to get there. I think noon was the arrival time, but most people came later in the afternoon. And I know for me, like I was feeling all the jitters that first day because, well, 1, I hadn't done a retreat before. And 2, again, I think I didn't know a lot of the women. I think a lot of the women only knew you. And so then I was like, oh, what if they don't like me? What if they only like Sasha? Like, and I'm a super quiet person at first, and at like getting once you get me talking, like I know, you know, I can talk about whatever and I can go on and on, but like when I'm like thrown into a space where I don't know people, it takes a lot for me to like get out of my comfort zone of being like super reserved, because I love to like listen and observe people. And so sometimes like it comes off as like being like super quiet. And so yeah, working through all of those emotions that first day was definitely something that I was doing or going through in my head. And I used like food as the distraction. So I was like in the kitchen prepping lunch and prepping all the snacks and, you know, just kind of like looking up, and I would giggle here and there, like, ha, you know, when someone said something funny, but definitely like use like my comfort as cooking and stuff to keep my hands busy. But yeah, it was a day full of emotions for me anyway.
So I go through things similar, and I think we talked about this a little bit yesterday, about like the imposter syndrome. Like people always tell me online, you know, like, oh, you're so confident, you're so this, you're so that, you're so knowledgeable. I don't know. They're always just like hyping me up, and part of me is like, oh, ha ha ha, like I always, take kind of like the humble road or whatever. I mean, I know I'm cool, but like it sounds cocky when you say that, you know what I mean? It feels
Yeah.
it feels weird. And so my fear is like, when people meet me in person, are they going to think that I'm as great as I was online? You know what I mean? Am I really the same person? And it's funny because I always say that I'm better in person than in real life, but still it's always like, who am I to be doing this? Is this really happening? Like, you know what I mean?
I do. I think I feel that too, especially with like the nutrition and, all the things that I talk about. I talk a little bit about everything, but like, does she really know all her things? And when when you're with people in real life and they're asking the questions and, there's no hiding behind the screen. It's just you. And it's like, well, what if they don't like this version of me? You know what I mean? Those are like the things that go through your head. And
yeah, that's always my worry too. Or like the other thing that I got hung up on, and I even talked about this during the retreat, is like labels, right? And so one of the reasons that, I wanted to do this retreat too is kind of leave all the labels at home. Everybody identifies themselves as a mom or a wife or a business owner or a teacher or a therapist or I don't know, who else was there? An insurance agent or whatever it is, right? And I'm like, what if we just dropped all the labels? But then sometimes I feel like we need labels to identify to other people what we are. But then I feel really like limited by that. Like you're putting yourself in this box.
yeah, we talked about this a lot on that drive because we
yes.
were both like, what do we call ourselves? Because, I was talking about how I feel like what I do is so much more and deeper than just, the label of a holistic nutritionist, right? Because everyone just thinks like food and eating your vegetables and eating your fruits, and it's so much deeper than that. And you were saying the same thing, like with what you do, you go through so many layers, you go a lot deeper into things, and you're into like the energy healing too and the spirituality stuff. And it's like, how do you call yourself something that encompasses all of the things that you actually do? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing that I wanted to talk about is we were wanting to do all of like the spiritual stuff, right? Or at least me anyways, I wanted, to do the energy healing. I wanted to do the crystals. I wanted to do the Reiki and the oil and the sage and talk about all of like those things. And I brought all of that stuff, but I was still kind of hesitant on what people were going to think about it. So I was like, are we really going to, so I was going to try and keep it mild. I know we talked about keeping it mild, and it's hilarious because people just loved it. They soaked it up. They were fascinated by all things like energy healing. And so we spent a majority of the time talking about that, teaching about that.
Yeah. And it was awesome. They wanted to, it was so funny because we had all these things. We're like, we'll just kind of hide it. We'll just like, we won't bring it up. And then I don't know who brought it up, but someone did. And it spiraled from there. And then it led to, can we go to a crystal shop?
Yeah, I know.
Like,
I can't even remember
loved it
who
so much that they wanted us to do them. I don't remember who it was either, but it was so funny. They were like, yeah, can we go?
We went on that hike to go see those waterfalls or whatever. And as we got out of the car, they're like, is there a crystal shop nearby? We all want to go. And like, I almost wanted to cry. I was so happy.
I know. We were both like, oh, we will find one. And we found how many?
Oh my God. So we should talk about that because that is hilarious. Because the one that I wanted to go to when me and my husband went to Deadwood earlier this year, it was like this purple and green place. And I was like, oh, that looks kind of like a cool place. Oh my God. That was such a poor representation of what a crystal shop was.
We were like, we have to redeem ourselves. So we walk into this place and it's like witchy. Like, I don't even know how to say. They had like, I don't even know how to say.
It was witchy. It was like wicked stuff. Like, it made me feel very uncomfortable.
Stuff. Yeah, it wasn't like the spiritual, like positive vibes type of place.
They
it was
had
like they were
poison
rings.
They had poison potions.
And poison rings that you can keep your potions in. And we were like, oh my God, this is not. And then in the corner, they had a kids section with kid toys.
They had like, what is it? Melissa and Doug toys.
What in the hell is this?
Come buy your demons and potions and poison rings. And oh, by the way, don't forget to grab some toys for the kids on the way out.
Forget your wooden toys for your kids. So while you're making your potions, they can play with their puzzles. Oh my gosh.
God. Well, anyways,
So,
yeah. I was not impressed with that store.
And you could tell, like, looking at everyone, like, everyone was so uncomfortable. The looks on their faces were like,
what the hell did we get ourselves into? I'm dying.
So we found a different one.
Which wasn't much better.
It wasn't much better, but it was better. It didn't have like that wicked vibe to it.
And we bought ear candles.
We decided we were all gonna do these candles and wax our ears.
Oh my God. We almost caught her hair on fire. Oh my God. It was hilarious.
That itself was, and when they were like, you need a bowl, and I tried to run up the stairs to go get a bowl, slipped because I was in socks. The stairs were wooden, banged my shin against the wooden stair, trying to go get this bowl so that the ashes wouldn't fall into her hair.
Okay, so let's take a step back though and
talk
about oh my God, it was so okay. So this store reminded me of like a gypsy store. Like they had gypsy clothes and like it just reminded me of like if you could put hoarder and gypsy together, it was that store.
You could barely walk through it because there was so much stuff. And it wasn't like, it was everything from like herbal recipes and like lotions and balms to like chakra bells and crystal jewelry and then ear cleaning candles.
I got a really cool ring there though. I really did. And some incense, but
I got some really cool bells. I got those bells, like the clearing bells that we wanted to wake everybody up with.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because I forgot to bring my chimes and my singing bowls. But I think it was Gina or one of the other gals. She's like, hey guys, there's another store next door. And we're like, oh God, what's this one going to be like? And third time's a charm. This one was a freaking jackpot. I wanted to buy everything in that store.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think
that one had like all of the crystals and the pendulums, and everybody wanted a pendulum. I think
everybody got a pendulum.
Like one of the gals that didn't get a pendulum when we got back was like, I want to go back and get a pendulum.
I wonder if she did. I think she did.
I think she did.
Oh man. So no, that last store was jackpot. I think as soon as we walked in there, we were all like relieved. And I was like, okay guys, this is the crystal shop. Like this is what to expect.
Yeah. And everybody was able to look at the stones because we were talking about like all the energies of the stones and what they do. And yeah, it was like we spent how many hours in these shops? Like 3 hours?
Yeah, I think we spent a half an hour probably in the first, each time in the first two. And we easily spent over an hour in that third one because everybody got stuff. And you know what's really funny, which I find hilarious, is none of the places, they all had like handwritten receipts.
Yeah, that's why it was taking so long, because they had to like, what crystal is this? And they had to write it down.
Oh my God.
We all had like 5 crystals at least.
I think I had $200 worth of freaking crystals and because I got incense and sand and sage. I got everything. I wanted to buy those freaking singing bowls too, but I was like, what?
Well, and I was flying back, so I'm like, okay, Jordan, like this has to fit in your suitcase. You have to be able to take this on a plane. But yeah, I could have bought it at both stores, even the gypsy one, because there was still a lot of cool stuff in there. They didn't have a lot of crystals. I think that was the problem with that one, is there were no like gemstones or anything.
Yeah, they both had like cool stuff in them, the first two, but it wasn't I don't know, I just didn't want people to think that we were, bringing them out into the middle of the woods and going to do like, seances or something.
Oh my God, right? Because when you go into like a good like crystal shop, like it should feel good in there. The energy
Yeah.
should feel good. It should like make you feel good when you're looking around, versus like a store you walk into and you feel icky and you're like feel
Mhm.
dirty, because that's the energy, that's your aura responding to the energy of the room.
Mhm.
And I think everybody could agree that we all felt icky walking out
We were
of
like,
that first store.
we were like, oh God, how fast can we get out of here? And I think the other girls were just trying to humor us.
Sage. Me and you both bought a bundle of
I
sage.
did. I was
We're
like,
like, don't worry, we'll clean
we need this. We need this right now. This is too much. I was like, get me out of this
it.
store. Oh my God, it was terrible. But yeah, and then one of the gals said that Hill City had a really big one. And so like the ones that have like the cool ones that I've been to, like me and you have been to one in Minneapolis that was pretty cool too. But they have all of like their gemstones and crystals and things like labeled and in different bins. They're like clearly marked. They, they have different sections. Everything's lit brightly. Everything just feels like, uplifting and positive. A lot of times they'll have like really soothing music on. Sometimes they'll do like readings and stuff there too. So I don't know, you just have to be aware, and like what we did for the last time we went to a crystal shop, you did like muscle testing or whatever to see which one, was a good fit for us. So we should have done that. We should have did that this time.
Yep. Next time. See,
Now we know. Now we know. But yeah, so then we get back and we all have these freaking like ear candles. And oh God, I'd never done it before. I was freaking out. But one of the gals was like, yeah, just try it. Just try it. Oh my God. I don't think we laughed. That was probably one of the, every night we laughed about something though. Like everybody laughed until their stomachs hurt, until they were crying. It was so much fun.
It was. And I have like goosebumps just talking about it, because
Me too.
It just felt so good. It was just like genuine laughter, genuine connection. Like there was no judgment from everybody.
Zero judgment.
Like, and that's the amazing thing that happens. Like when me and you, we both put out that intention that the perfect women for this retreat would find us, or would find the retreat. And when you put that intention out there, that's what you get. And we brought the perfect women, I think, for this retreat.
Oh, 1000%. I don't think it could have been any better. And I mean, we did, and maybe what we'll get into, I know we got to wrap this up in probably the next 10 minutes, but what we can get into is kind of what it looked like day to day. I know the big component that we wanted to do was like the food. So the nourishment. So can you kind of explain to people why we, decided on those types of foods, that meal plan, and how that kind of helps people in their healing transformation? And then I'll kind of get into the things that I did during the retreat too, to kind of help people grow.
Absolutely. So we really wanted this to be like a transformative and healing weekend. And food plays a huge role in not only like how our physical body responds to things, but how our energy body responds, because food has an energy to it as well. And so we talked about that a little bit, but we did a very clean, and by clean, what I mean is like food that you could grow on your own, right? Food that's, I know you like to say food that's alive. And except we didn't do any meat. So we did a plant-based menu, because meat has a very heavy energy to it. And if it's not like really clean, really high quality meat, it can hinder the healing process. It can prevent you from like letting go of those deep rooted emotions that need to be let out. And really, it's just not the best food to promote like a healing response in the body. And so we wanted very alkalizing foods that were gonna, create really, really good like energetic emotions and leave you feeling energized and just leave you feeling good, right? So that is why, we chose the foods that we did, and we made sure that the foods were high quality and that they were plant-based. And we didn't have to go to like a Whole Foods or Sprouts or any of these like fancy natural food stores to get this. We just went to Walmart and Target. So stores that people here in the US have access to in just about every place, right? So we also made sure that it was food that people could have access to, but the difference was it was just real food. It wasn't the food that comes in the box and with all the added stuff to it. And when I think is really interesting because when we started talking to some of the gals about it, like a couple days into the retreat, they were noticing things about how they felt in relationship to what they were eating and how they, they were feeling really good and they were drinking more water. And just like by changing the eating habits over the course of a couple days, they could already feel the change in their body, feel the change in their mood. And it's just, and that's what we wanted. That's what we wanted to cultivate. And so that's why I spent so much time putting that work into it.
Absolutely. No, it was amazing. The food was so good. And I think people were able to try some new things because I think a lot of people are intimidated by a plant-based diet or intimidated by, quote unquote, healthy eating, which I don't even like that term. I feel like healthy eating should be the norm and junk food eating should be the weird thing. Right. But we won't get into that. I feel like we could.
That's a whole nother episode.
But you know what I mean? They were able to try, and we had desserts, you guys. Like we had snacks, we had desserts, we had chips, we had guac, we had pita dip. I mean, we had all of the indulgences too. We just had them one in somewhat of moderation, but two, we made sure that they were clean and that they would leave you feeling energized and not like bloated or ucky after you eat it,
It's all about, simple swaps to recipes or simple changes to the ingredients to make them more nourishing. So they still taste delicious, but they leave you feeling better.
Yep. That was one of the big things that I even noticed too, because, and I had this conversation with you too. The thing for me is grocery shopping intimidates me, right? And so like grocery shopping with you, which is funny, I've come to realize similar to alcohol shelves, the middle shelf is kind of like your mid to low grade food, but they usually keep a lot of the high end stuff or the quality food on the top shelf. And I think one of the gals made that reference on the retreat. She's like, so you mean like the healthier stuff is top shelf? I'm like, yeah, that's one way to look at it. But the big thing was like reading ingredients and making sure that you can actually understand what it is that you're putting into your body and not just a bunch of like mumbo jumbo you can't read.
Exactly. And that's like, that's something I would love to do in like a future retreat too, is like do more of like the food label stuff, because that is so intimidating for people. And we talked about it quite a bit with the foods that we brought, but even just being able to like show comparisons, right? Because we didn't bring in any of the, I don't like to say like healthy versus non-healthy, but you know what I mean? Like the less quality foods we didn't bring into the retreat, right? And so like being able to show those comparisons is, I think, going to be really powerful at future retreats as well.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel like it played they played really well together, because my thing was teaching people how to reconnect with themselves, right? How to really like sit with their discomfort. And I think a lot of people with the not having phones, with realizing that like they had to eat real food. They couldn't have their diet Mountain Dews or their Mountain Dews or their, you know what I mean? Like their crutches essentially that keep them stuck. It was like you're stripped away from all of the things. And it's like you had to do the work. Like you were there, you were in it, you had to feel it, and you had to work through it.
Yep. And transformation can't happen in that short amount of time. Like if there is anything that like these women learned, is that it is possible for a transformation, like a meaningful transformation, to happen in 4 days.
Yeah. And that's kind of the reasoning for it too. So a lot of time, or for like the time frame, right? So the first day is kind of like everybody has like first day jitters, and they're all like trying to work out their own stuff. And so we all have like a meet and greet. Everybody kind of gets to know each other, yada, yada, yada. And then that evening, I'll just kind of recap what we did for people. And then what did we do? We did like a full moon / intention setting kind of ceremony. That evening, we all sat around the fireplace outside and wrote like what we wanted to let go of, why we were there, what we hoped to gain, which was really, really incredible. what else did we do? We did hiking and we did yoga and we did the sauna, which was amazing. You did pranic on everybody, which was amazing. We did, what did we do? We did like a group gratitude practice. We did grounding practices. We explored oils. We explored sage and Palo Santo. And I'm trying to think what else.
Talked about like crystal healing, and we talked a lot about different modalities. We had one of the gals, we talked about the muscle testing, and then she was able to talk a little bit about like her experience with muscle testing. And that was really cool.
That's right. I remember that now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think what else.
We did nutrition talk. So like with every meal, it was so nice because the kitchen was like this big open kitchen with a bar, and everybody, you know, just kind of gathered around, and we did nutrition talks around all the meals and all the foods that we were using and why. I think that was really powerful for a lot of people.
Oh yes, absolutely. I agree. And I think it was really cool to like see firsthand. And then you printed off quite a few different informational things for people to read kind of at their leisure if they wanted more information on some of the things that we were talking about while prepping and making food and whatnot, which I think was super helpful.
Yep.
Nope. Overall, I absolutely loved it. We laughed, we cried, we stayed up late, we did yoga, we went hiking, we saw waterfalls, we went to crystal shops. And it was so cool to see all of the connection at the end and just like the aha moments, right? Like that last night we were there, everybody went around and just kind of said what they loved about each other. And there was some new friendships that were made. There were some new discoveries that were made. There was people stepping into their highest self and what their next journey was. I don't know. It was the most incredible.
It was incredible. Yeah. We're talking over each other, but it was just amazing.
It's hard not to though, because you just get so freaking excited because it's like, man, and then like hearing the feedback afterwards. Like I was going through the testimonials, and literally everybody in here. Let me just read a few for the people on here. So let's see. I have one of the gals was just said that she was looking for some time to grow, relax. She wanted to get away from like stress of like normal day activities, responsibilities like that. She said she absolutely loved the whole thing. She especially loved the connections that were made with the other women. She says that she's been working really hard to make conscious decisions when it comes to like health and wellness, and then also taking like strategy in her business. She says she absolutely loved us. The ability for me to make her uncomfortable and feel at home at the same time, and that she loved learning all the things that you had about energy healing and nutrition. She says, I want more of everything. She goes, you guys are so amazing. Thank you so much for creating this great experience. It was life-changing for sure. Another gal said she wanted to reconnect with a group of supportive women. She wanted to reset and remind herself to continue to do the work of so that she could be where she wanted to be. And she also wanted to remember to love herself more and to slow down. She absolutely loved all the talks when we were all sitting around the fireplace in the living room. And she says she loved getting to know each other on a deeper level, deeper than most connections you have in your quote unquote everyday life, right? What else did she say? This is actually a woman who has been on multiple retreats. So she's like, it was an amazing experience. She's like, I just love how it all flows. It was incredible. Let's see, there's more. Hang on, I'll read a couple more and then we can start wrapping this up because otherwise I feel like I can just talk forever. So another gal. What's that?
I said, you guys would be listening to us all day.
I know, but I just have to read some of these like testimonials because they're incredible. So another woman said she really wanted to connect with herself again and learn ways to continue to connect with herself. She said her favorite part was just feeling good about doing something for herself. She says that during this time that she's created lifelong friendships, she's met some amazing women. She learned how to connect with herself and other like-minded women. And she absolutely loved disconnecting from her crazy life. She said that was like the most awesome thing. She says, for me, that her favorite parts were the unscripted part, that she says that my ability to see where people are at and meet them where they're at is amazing. She said with you, her favorite part was your sidebar conversations, but she said her absolute favorite was her experience in the chair. She said, I'll never forget that and how I've felt since then. She's also said, maybe be better planning with the ear candling. Oh, she also says, you ladies have absolutely changed my life. I am looking forward to attending the next one and continuing to work with you both. So I'll just leave it at that. I mean, these go on and on and on. Like another person put in all caps, it was magical. Another woman put, you ladies have changed my life. I loved laughing and visiting with everybody, sharing our stories. It was the most amazing time. I mean, these stories go on and on and on. So everybody absolutely loved it. It is transformational. I cannot explain to you what happens in these 4 days. It is like, I don't know, you're like in this container of space.
Like, it just makes me so emotional because it's like so amazing what happens.
Yeah. It's almost like sad leaving too.
I know. It was hard leaving.
It's like you're excited to get back to your family, but at the same time, you're like, oh man, I'm so sad. I don't get to spend more time with these women.
I know. And that's why we're doing more.
That's why we're just going to keep doing more. We're going to do more and more and more and keep creating these containers of healing for people, and then the space to be themselves, no judgment, try new things, explore, do that deep inner work, heal from the inside out, teach you alternative modalities to help you, aid in that healing transformation too. So Jordan, what final thoughts do you have for people listening?
I think really I've already said it, but just to know that, there is a space for you and there is a place that you can go and just be. You can leave everything else at home, and the transformation that you may not even know that you're looking for, but whatever it is, it's going to leave you feeling good, leave you feeling better than you are, and leave you feeling more deeply connected to yourself and other women is possible at these retreats.
Absolutely. Yeah, my final thoughts is anybody who is on the fence about doing this, like, just ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? And what would happen on the other side of that fear? Like, what would happen if you fully trusted yourself and just knew that you couldn't fail and that your healing can bring you all the freedom that you desire in this world? Stop playing small by your limiting beliefs. Don't let your thoughts and old belief patterns hinder you from having the level of success and freedom that you desire. Who would you be without that thought? Who would you be without that story? A lot of times people say, I can't do this, or I can't do that, or people don't want to help me, or having friends is, nobody understands me, or I have to do this all myself, or eating healthy is hard, or meditation is hard. Like, is it? Like, what if you were in a container of space where you could actually try these things and embody these practices and really feel what it feels like to feel good? Sometimes people just don't know what it's like to feel good.
Absolutely. I say that all the time. We don't know what it's like to feel good.
Nope. And then one day you feel good and you're like, holy smokes, I've been missing out on this my whole life.
Yeah. How did I go so long feeling the way I did?
Yep. Oh, this was amazing. All right. So we'll do a follow-up talking about all the things that we have planned for the upcoming April 2021 retreat. We will be announcing our Black Friday special on Thursday this week, Thursday the 26th. So if you guys are interested in joining, we do have 8 spots available, 8 spots only. It's a first come, first serve. You can head over to my website at sashadavis.com for more information on this retreat. Again, it will be on special Black Friday special starting midnight Thursday the 26th. Okay. And you can also head over to jordanwavra.com. She will also have the link to sign up. It is a first come, first serve. So if you guys are not one of the 8 people, if for whatever reason you get a sold out page after the tickets go live, we will be hosting more after we get this one done. So we will keep you on the wait list for future retreats. We plan to host I don't know, a handful of them each year, a couple, 2 or 3. So April 2021, we're coming for you. We want you guys to be there. Again, head on over sashadavis.com or jordanwavra.com for more info. Be ready for when that sale goes live. So Jordan, I feel like we could talk forever.
Yes, we could.
We'll make it a 6-hour podcast.
All right, I'm excited.
I'm excited.
Oh my gosh. Do you think anyone would listen?
they
Might as well just make a book.
They
Do an
probably all
audiobook.
Oh shit. All right. I will catch y'all later. Jordan, we'll be in touch. Thanks for listening to the Sasha Davis podcast. For more information on personal and professional development, we've created a master list of all of the resources discussed in the podcast and the blog. So head on over to sashadavis.com/resources for our full list.